What is going on, Movie Meals? Movie Meals, that time of the year. Thank you, Movie Meal patrons, Kimberly,
Let's
Karen. Go get
go.
some merch. It's all linked down in the description. Go join everything. This is one of my favorite videos for us. Top 10 of the year. So,
I love it.
Kyle, real quickly, rattle off any honorable mentions you have that just barely missed the cut.
All right. My honorable mentions would be Emily the Criminal, Breaking,
Never
She
saw.
Said, Glass Onion, Causeway, and the Banshees of Inisherin. Inisherin.
Wow. My honorable mentions are Nope, Banshees of Inisherin as well. She Said, RRR, and Prey, and The Fablemans, which, The Fablemans hurt not to put in there. I loved it so much. Such a love letter to my favorite
I'm happy you
character.
saw
But
RRR though. I forgot that you did.
I
That's
told you
awesome.
that a while ago.
I forgot.
Yeah. I saw
Completely.
Breaking, just not there for me. Didn't make it. But anyway,
Sure.
Kyle, what's your number 10?
My number 10 is also The Fablemans. I think what Steven Spielberg did
So
is
good.
not only tell a personal story and an ode to movie making, but more importantly, it's just a movie that kind of shows the complexities of families, the complexities of parents, that you don't notice from like a child's point of view, but also you come to realize as an adult. And I think his movie making magic just really intertwined well with the personal story, and it just did it for me watching it.
So my number 10 technically came out last year. So I put it at 10, even though I saw it this year. It came out in September at a festival last year. It got a wider release, a limited then slightly wider release for a small movie this year in June and July. And so I had to put it here because I didn't even know it was a movie until this year. But I'm going to be honest, this is a compromise I made with myself. This is a
Okay.
compromise I made with myself to put it here. It honestly would probably have been at the 4th spot if I didn't make this compromise, but I felt it was fair because if you look it up, it says it comes out in 2021. But I went Marcel the Shell with Shoes On.
Oh,
Incredible. I
that
could
counts.
not
Yeah.
believe how amazing this movie is. It's adorable, it's beautiful. Everything about it is absolutely incredible. This is a little compromise I'm making since it's listed by everything you can imagine, says it came out officially last year. Felt weird to have it here, but it would be higher. I adored this movie so much. What's your
I
number
would have
9?
counted. I would have counted that as 2022. I think it came
I
out.
did. I did. I
Well,
would put it
yeah,
higher. It came out. It's listed
yeah.
as 2021, but got a limited release, wider release after that.
Uh-huh.
Not obviously a massive release, but after that in this year, this summer. But it felt weird, so I'm putting it here, and I'm okay with that. I've come to peace
No,
with it.
sounds
It's
like
one of
it's
the best freaking movies of the year. Whew.
love it. My number 9 is RRR. Easily one of
Wow.
my. It just encapsulated a year to where I think there was lots of blockbusters that just surprised me, that just took off and blew me away from just having a lot of fun with the story, having characters with a lot of personality to them, a lot of heart to them, and it just clearly just showed so much passion and so much love, and everyone had a blast by the looks of it making this movie, and I just appreciated having a blast watching it. Wish I could have seen it in theaters, but I still wound up enjoying myself seeing it at home, much to my surprise. So, still a movie I remember. RRR.
To the audience too, there's a few movies Kyle and I, just where we live, a small area, we don't get a chance to see some movies that have been, especially because COVID and everything, releases have been like weird. Like I haven't seen The Whale yet. Movies like that, that might be contending for Oscars, we just haven't seen yet. So if you don't hear them here, odds are we haven't seen them. But yeah, I just wanted
Hopefully,
to
we
make
will.
sure we say that. My number 9 is Cha Cha Real Smooth. Cha Cha
Oh, I've heard good
Real
things.
Smooth. Very great. Very, very
Nice.
great. Loved it. It's on Apple, baby.
Hmm.
It's a great little story. I adored it. Just couldn't put it higher for me, but because blockbusters compete for old Al. But I loved it. You should really check it out. What's your number 8?
Number 8 is After Sun. Um, a movie that definitely devastates you at the end and makes you sit with your thoughts in the shower and want to have a cry. But sometimes a movie just needs to do that for you. Just needs to tug your heartstrings. Needs to really surprise you by the minimalist approach that it takes, and I think it's just really well done visual storytelling at the most smallest of levels, and it just delivers on um passion and heart breaking moments throughout the movie. So After Sun is number 8.
My number 8 is After Sun. Let's go!
We love
Overlook,
an overlap.
overlap,
Overlap.
overlook,
Overlap.
overlook. I echo everything Kyle said. It's a great movie. I've seen it be some people's top of the year. For me, it just
Mhm.
wasn't quite there at the top of the year, but I was so hyped to see it that I ended up just buying it because it's not out for rent yet. So I just bought it, and it's a movie I probably will come back to. It is heartbreaking, but man, it's very, very, very good.
Yeah.
What's your number 7?
Terrific movie. Number 7 is The Northman, because
Wow. Didn't even make my
this
list.
movie, I just appreciated the feeling that this movie gave me. I felt gross watching it, but I just felt my attention just
Gross
keeping hold of the
watching it.
screen the whole time, and I just was really appreciative this year of mid-budget movies that really had a pop to them. I felt like there was quite a few of them, and The Northman is definitely one of them. And I was just impressed by the directing and the technical aspects of it. Not to mention that I thought the story was just, a story that we've seen before, but still one that I think really uh, keeps a hold of you until the end. Lots of
I
memorable
loved The
scenes
Northman.
too.
My number 7, I constantly went back and forth if this movie should make it, but when I kept thinking of horror, this is the movie that came back, and that is Men. I
Mm,
loved this movie. It weirded me out in the best ways. It is not for everyone, but holy cow, was it for me. I still I saw it in the summer. I mean, I saw it so long ago, and every time I saw a horror movie since then, I kept comparing it to this because this was just that freaking good. And as a newer fan of horror movies, I adored it. It's so weird, but I loved it. So that's my number 7. Number 6 for you, sir.
Almost lost my train of thought on the list. Sorry. Number 6 is The Menu. Great performances, great story. I really
Wow.
loved how it told the line between being satirical of the times that we're kind of living in to a degree, but also being comedic enough at the same time to where it just had a good balancing act between the two. And when movies impress me the most when they do that balancing act really well, and I think The Menu does an exceptional job at that. And like I said, terrific performances. I thought the story was really gripping, and just one of the more creative movies this year to where I kept remembering about it after seeing it.
Did not make my list. I'm very surprised that you loved The Menu so much. It's that high.
Mm.
My number 6 is a movie that should have been up here for Kyle, and that's Knives Out Glass Onion. The fact that he got to see it in his crappy theater and I didn't get to see it in my great theater is horrible. It is so freaking good. It
Yep,
captures everything you love about the first. Oh, I freaking love Knives Out. Yeah, it was new, unique. Man, I love it. Ryan Johnson is something else. He puts out nothing but elite films. All right, we're in the top. We're in the top 5, baby.
I'm excited.
We've had a lot of differences already, though, and normally
I've liked them,
you and
man.
I tend to be pretty consistent, but you've started to hate me lately, so this makes sense.
I just
Just kidding.
appreciate that you love me still.
So, what is your number 5?
My number 5 is The Woman King. And Alex, let me tell you, it just has kept climbing up on my list since I started making this at the start of December. And I think it just was another example of a movie that feels like one of those mid-budget films that pops so much because it cares about things from the characters. The actors clearly are invested in these roles, down to thinking about the cinematography, thinking about the set designs, thinking about the costume designs. Everything just meshed so well to create such an interesting story that has everything you want. It has some drama to it. It has some family ties along. Yeah, it's family arc is what I'm trying to get at. Some comedic moments as well, some great action, but yeah, just has a mixture of everything that you want from a movie to surprise you at the theaters. And this one, I just keep remembering that it does that for me. Hits the right
Wow.
notes.
I loved The Woman King. I know it's got a lot of controversy around it. It did not make my top 10. It's not there. I think that's our third one that's that different. Wow.
Hmm.
But it is great. But everything Kyle just said, it goes to my number 5, and that is All Quiet on the Western Front.
Mm, I still need to
One
see
of
that
the
one.
best war movies I've ever seen. It
Mhm.
is powerful. I mean, you're talking set design, costume, everything. Holy moly. This movie in parts is dubbed because, the Netflix likes to just do their dubs, and that's what I watch it in. Obviously, some parts it just kind of depends on where you're at, but man, it is a story that just blew me away. It made me think it's like if you thought 1917 was good, strap in. This is incredible how powerful this movie is. At some of the scenery, oh, I adored All Quiet on the Western Front. It is that freaking good. All right, Kyle, what's your number 4?
The top four. That's literally my top four. I could flip them around and I would just be perfectly happy, but I'm going to stick with the list that I have now. My number four is Top Gun Maverick. And seeing
Overlap,
this movie.
overlap, overlap,
Oh!
overlap. Reverse, Top Gun Maverick, overlap. Anyway,
We love a good overlap, guys.
love a good overlap.
Look, Top Gun
Oh, yeah.
Maverick, it was just a surprise to me for one, like ending up being really satisfied by it. Top Gun's not a movie that I have loved growing up necessarily. I've liked it enough, but the sequel just had a pop to me to where not only did it tell a story that, at its most basic of terms that you kind of see that you've seen this story before, but I don't know, something about it just feels like movie making magic to where the stunts are practical. There is care to its characters in the story to where you're watching this story unfold on the screen and you can't help but be excited and at the edge of your seat the whole way through. I saw it twice, was able to see it once on an IMAX screen, luckily, and both times I just came away being impressed by how much I had a great time watching this movie. And I have to put it at number four just for that.
I've got it at 4 too. Top Gun Maverick did what Avatar thought it would do. Remind people how great going to the movies can be.
Mm,
Like it,
yeah,
and it is something special.
well said.
Riveting. It hits you in the feels. It literally made me like nervous in my seat. Not a lot of movies, especially action movies like this, do that. Top Gun Maverick is so freaking good. It's so good. Quentin Tarantino is praising it. Come on now. I mean, he
Yeah.
obviously loves the first one, but all right. What's your number? We're in the top 3, baby. What's your number 3?
My number three is Nope. I think Jordan Peele not only did a great job
Love Nope.
at crafting the story that, keeps making you think about it and thinking about how everything connects together as he always does, all the way through. But not only that, but I think this was his like more spectacle sci-fi blockbuster type movie. It wasn't necessarily a horror movie, though it does have horror elements that still worked in my opinion,
And it's a
but
horror movie.
it just has this nostalgic flair to it to where through visuals, through some creative shots when it comes to cinematography and the direction of its cameras, that you just can't help but being swept away, especially towards the climax of the movie, with what you're seeing visually. And like I said, my top four, you could flip these around in any different order and I would be totally satisfied, but Nope has to be at number three right now.
Yeah, Nope didn't made my honorable mentions, but for me, it was just when I kept thinking of horror, I went back to Men. But man, I could put Nope in that Men spot, and I'd probably be okay. But my number 3 is the best version of Pinocchio I've ever seen, and that's Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. This
Wow.
movie is incredible, and if you
It is
don't
really good.
believe that, then you're a wackadoodle. This movie's amazing. It is a pioneer of stop motion animation. It reminds me, I mean, it took what Kubo did and said, let's do it better. The
Yeah.
designs, the creatures, that everything, telling this old story that everybody knows and doing it better. This is the best version of Pinocchio I've ever seen. It's that freaking good. Guillermo is the master. So I had to put Pinocchio here. I keep thinking about it. I love it. It's amazing. What's your number 2?
My number two is The Batman.
Overlap!
Came out.
Overlap! We love a
Yeah, I
great
kind of wondered.
overlap!
I
Let's
was wondering where the
go!
Batman was. I love it. I love what we're doing here. Earlier,
Like
we
we
were
have the
saying that
same
we
number
surprised
1.
each other with picks, and yeah, we have so many overlaps. It's awesome. Perfect mesh. Uh, but yeah, number two, the Batman. Some people might say, why do we have another Batman movie? Yada yada. I get it. Some people might be worn out by
To get
it,
the
but
best one yet.
Matt Reeves, Robert Pattinson, their team up, that duo, they had a really great vision for the Batman and they executed it well. I thought everything from set designs to the cinematography, the score, just really gave a sense of giving Gotham like finally its most identity that I think it has had ever since like the first Batman movie, Tim Burton's Batman movies, maybe. And I think Pattinson did a great job as Batman, but it also just did a really great job at telling an interesting mystery movie, but having Batman at the forefront, and just the visuals, the sounds were all interwoven together beautifully, and I just thought it was a very well done job creatively.
Yeah, the Batman's incredible. It's so good that James Gunn and Matt Reeves seem like they're buddied up and gonna keep letting him make his movies because that's how freaking good that it is. It's
Yeah,
incredible. The fact that it didn't get the early nominations, the top 15 nominations for some of its soundtrack stuff is a travesty for this
very
year's
surprising.
Oscars.
Yeah,
So I freaking love the Batman. It belonged at number two. I'm assuming we got the same number one. So let's do a
I
little
would think
little
so.
little countdown here. Say it at the same time here. Ready? A one, a two, and a three. Sonic the Hedgehog
Everything
2.
everywhere all at once. Who is it here? Is yours true or is mine true?
It's yours. Everything everywhere
It's-
all at
yeah,
once. We are following the shills that are screaming at critics. Doing what they want for clout. No, I'm kidding. Anyway, you go first here. Everything everywhere all at once at number one.
uh, look, for one thing, it was one of like the best surprises of this year, I would say. Number two, it just does what I keep echoing with all these movies on the list. It thinks about the story. It thinks it's not the biggest of stories. It's a story about a family that's just going through struggles. It's
It's
about a
really just a
woman
mother
that's
daughter
just going
story.
through an identity crisis. It's a mother-daughter story,
Yeah.
but not only does it think about like the personal intimate moments about how to tell it well, but also thinks about uh grandish ways of making that those storylines apparent, making them all connect together, and giving it a bit of a flair and identity to itself that is honestly really refreshing. Probably one of the more refreshing movies
Unique.
I've seen in a while. Unique, exactly. Um, so it's just really well done by the directors. I'm really glad that they were able to have this release to theaters, having it
The
gain the
Daniels.
awareness that it has had, because it truly is one of the more unique and one of the better movies I've seen in quite a while. And I just appreciate it for doing so much, but yet somehow still having control and not feeling like it's just a hodgepodge and a giant mess. It easily could have been, but with these directors and their vision for it, it just feels like it was so seamless that more than it ever should have been. But well done to them. Well done to that whole cast and crew, because this movie really is phenomenal to me.
Yeah, I get why people don't put it at the top. I think there are movies that are competing with it. For me, the second I saw it, I was
Mhm.
like, is this maybe a 5 out of, a 10 out of 10 for me? Is this that good? I've watched it 3 times since. I I freaking love it. It's crazy, it's unique, it's different, it's wild, all in the best ways possible. And yet all this, stories it's telling, you can weave into one thing. It's the movie's about how your decisions can affect you and the people around you.
Mhm.
And it tells it through a multiversal way, in the best way. Before even this was an idea before the multiverse was even going to be happening, and everything else we're doing. And it's just
Yeah.
it did everything
Yeah.
in the best freaking way. It deserves the number one spot for me. And I love it. The Daniels, I can't wait to see what they do next. I hope they are starting to get more notoriety and their movies start to do even better and better and better at the box office, because they deserve it. But
For sure.
all right, guys, what'd you think of our list? Comment below, let us know. Remember to like, subscribe, share. And as always, thanks for watching, Mom.
See you guys.